All the stories that I've spoken about or will speak about, you can find in the OneFootball app. There's a link to download it in the description of the video. OneFootball is the best football app out there. The great news is it's absolutely free. As you can see, you get video content, you get all your fixtures, statistics, augmented reality feature as well if you're an iPhone user, and lots in between. Trust me, it'll get you covered for the entire season. You don't need another football app. OneFootball is the one and only app that you're going to need to keep you satisfied. Maybe you want a couple of minutes to yourself. Maybe you're on the loo and you want to browse through a story or two. OneFootball have gone out and they've got all the Liverpool stories that they think are worthwhile, and they've put them onto their fantastic app, and you can download it entirely free with the link in the description. Right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get straight to it. I'm going to pick out my first story of the day, and this one, as you can see, is he's not going to start. Rio Ferdinand warns Premier League star to avoid Liverpool. Who's he talking about? He's talking about Leeds United's Raphinha. Now, I understand where Rio Ferdinand is coming from, but the calibre of footballer that I, and no doubt you guys, want at Liverpool is going to be somebody who looks at that Liverpool midfield and forward line and thinks to themselves, I can find a way in there. I back myself to be able to get in there, maybe ahead of Sadio Mane, maybe ahead of Mohamed Salah. Actually, no, you're not going to get in ahead of Mohamed Salah. Let's be fair about it. Nobody's getting in ahead of Mo. But we do have a lot of games to play in a season, so I don't want Raphinha or Raphinha's agent, who, by the way, interestingly, are the Guest of You agency, George Mendes agency, the same one that brought you superstars like Diogo Jota and Fabinho. So I don't think that Raphinha would be put off by the players that we have at Liverpool. If anything, I think learning from them, working with them on the training ground week in and week out, will probably give them even further enhancements to what is already a very good career. So look, I've no doubt that Agent Bobby, Agent Allison, and Agent Fabinho have probably been in Raphinha's ear. And, you know, I'll bring you back to when Deco spoke about the Raphinha situation a couple of months back. Don't think that will happen in January, but I do think that he will be available in the summer. And Liverpool have long been linked with Raphinha. Let me know if you think Raphinha would cut the mustard at Liverpool. Let me know if you agree with Rio Ferdinand and think that maybe it's too big of a move for him. I don't think it is, personally. I think he'd probably get 30-35 games a season all in at Liverpool. And look, if you keep in mind we play, probably being a Champions League club, 65 games or so a season, plenty of game time for everybody, and it would be a great option for us to rotate off the bench or to bring in and give the lads a rest. So look, I'm all for Raphinha coming to Liverpool. I would respectfully disagree with Mr. Ferdinand, and we'll move on to story number 2. Story number 2, and look, you knew it was coming, didn't you? You knew I wasn't going to go through an entire video without having a little conversation about our boy, our future boy, Jude Bellingham. Yes, Jude Bellingham, ladies and gentlemen. So Jamie Carragher has been talking about Borussia Dortmund, and he said that Liverpool should not ignore, but we should look past signing Erling Haaland and go for his teammate Jude Bellingham. And look, Carragher knows a good number 8 when he sees one, doesn't he? And look, we have a number 8 at the minute in Naby Keita, but I look at Jude Bellingham as somebody who genuinely could be the next midfield for Liverpool for the next 10 years. For the next 10 years. Imagine a midfield, at the moment, let's say, of Fabinho, Jude Bellingham and Harvey Elliott. Or any combination. You could throw in Henderson in there, but I'm thinking to the future here. Maybe if we look it's fair to say, if we look 5 years down the line, it wouldn't be out of the realms of possibility to see a Liverpool midfield with Curtis Jones, Harvey Elliott and Jude Bellingham, or Tyler Morton, Jude Bellingham and Harvey Elliott, or Tyler Morton, Jude Bellingham and Curtis Jones. Any combination that you like would work for me. I think it's going to take a lot of money to get Jude Bellingham out of Borussia Dortmund. He doesn't have a buyout clause in there, and I don't think that they'd be willing to sell him next summer. I have resigned myself to the fact that I still believe he'll come to Liverpool. I still believe he's destined to play in front of the KOPP, and by that I mean in a Liverpool shirt. You know, it won't work if he comes playing as an opposition player, but I do think it'll be the summer after next when Borussia Dortmund are willing to sell him, because they're going to probably lose Erling Haaland in the summer. He does have that 75 million quid buyout clause. There is none in the contract, for Jude Bellingham, and add to that the fact that they're trying to sign his brother Job as well, by all accounts. I do think Liverpool will try and manoeuvre it, but I think it'll be a year and a half away before we potentially see Jude Bellingham. But I love that Carragher's going in. I'm speaking it from the article. He said they had Haaland tonight, he was out, so maybe that's the last time we're going to see Haaland in a Dortmund shirt in terms of the Champions League. Then he goes on to say, I just think the knock-on effect could be on Jude Bellingham as well. I don't think Liverpool will be in the race for Haaland. To be honest, he'd be too expensive. I'd love to see Liverpool get Jude Bellingham. What's really interesting about that, before I move on to the next story, is I get where Carragher's coming from, saying Haaland would be too expensive, but for the cost to just buy the player, he probably end up being a little bit cheaper than Jude Bellingham, because I think Jude Bellingham will probably be an 85 million pound player, whereas we know Haaland's available for 75 million euro, which is about 65 million pound. Now, Haaland and his agent will probably want an obscene amount of wages, so I guess that's where Carragher's coming from. But look, that's story number 2, my friends. Now we move on to number 3. Story number 3 revolves around what can we expect from Ralf Rangnick at Manchester United. Will we expect a Liverpool type press? In short, the answer is most likely going to be yes, but it will take time, because as KLOPP says, you know, the level of football that we play at, the high intensity counter pressing, Gegen pressing football that we play, he kind of, I won't say gives the credit to Ralf Rangnick, but he certainly believes Ralf Rangnick is one of, if not the top German coaches around, and certainly he has influenced the likes of Jurgen Klopp and the great next generation of German coaches that have come through. So in bringing Ralf Rangnick to Manchester United, in my opinion, they have done a very good turn of business, because I know it's a 6-month deal and most likely we'll see Pochettino in there, but if Ralf Rangnick can instill that hard work ethic, that would be backed up if Mauricio Pochettino eventually came, because I know Pochettino can't really do it at PSG with regards to the pressing system, because look, let's be honest, you're not going to get Messi, Neymar and Kylian Mbappe tracking back and doing the hard work, but it's no coincidence, as they say in this article. It goes on to say, it's definitely no coincidence that Klopp has 4 former players of mine. This is what Ralf Rangnick was saying. Firmino, Keita, Mane and Joe Matip, because it shows, in fact, looking at the same kind of players with the same assets, with the same mentality as we do. And this is when he was working for the Red Bull brand of clubs. You know that you're going to get that proactive, high-pressing, counter-pressing system with Ralf Rangnick. So don't be shocked if it takes a while. If you're a United fan watching this for some reason, don't be shocked if it takes a while, because as Liverpool fans, we know when a new player comes into our club, it takes them a while to get up to speed with the system and exactly how and when Jurgen Klopp wants them to press, because it's not just about pressing for the sake of it. You've got to press at the right times in the right areas and go as teams to press. So for us, we're very fortunate having players like Bobby Firmino, who is a counter-pressing machine, Diogo Jota as well, Sadio Mane, Mohamed Salah. They all chip in. And that's what Ralf Rangnick will be looking to do at Manchester United. That's the type of buy-in that he'll want and expect from the players. Let me know if you think the current crop of Manchester United players are capable of that, by the way. Love to know your thoughts in the comment section below. The next story, ladies and gentlemen, is further proof, if ever it was needed, that our captain, Jordan Henderson, is an absolute legend. In this piece, he speaks about mental health. He opens up, the piece was done in conjunction with Nike, and he opens up on the impact of mental health on footballers and in sport. And look, you know this is a subject dear to my own heart. I think everybody should feel free to step up and be open with people. Look, it's okay to be vulnerable. You know, Hendo will tell you the exact same thing. Tyson Fury, toughest man on the planet, heavyweight champion of the world, even he had his own battle. So look, I guess what I'm trying to say with this one is I'm delighted to see Hendo out there doing it. I'm not surprised, because that's the type of good character that Jordan Henderson is. And it's great that this conversation is being had, because it's a conversation that needs to be had. I know in my own home country here in Ireland that suicide is the biggest killer of men under the age of 30. So we've really got to tackle it. And as I always say, look, I don't want to be banging on about mental health all the time, but I'm very fortunate in my life that I was given the opportunity to open up, speak to mental health professionals, and it has massively helped me out. And don't ever be embarrassed, don't ever be ashamed. I like to say a phrase, and I don't know if people will take offence by it, but I'm going to just say it anyway. We're all fucked up in our own unique way. And sometimes we need to share that problem and we need to talk. So if you are out there and you are suffering with some mental health issues, and look, there are people during these COVID times that will be experiencing and feeling things, probably particularly younger people, that they haven't done before, because we're being locked away from other human beings at times. And, you know, as humans, our instinct is to go up and hug people and kiss them and shake their hands. And now we're being programmed to have to go a different way for the time being. So that can have an effect. And you add into that financial stresses, worrying about your family, family, it can get to anybody. So look, if Jordan Henderson can talk about it, if Tyson Fury can talk about it, if this bald Irish Egypt can talk about it, I hope that we can all start to have more of an open conversation around mental health and how important it is to look after it. So look, again, hats off to Jordan Henderson. Well done to Nike for raising the subject. We move on to the last story of the day. The last story of the day, my friends, is Ralf Hasenhüttl, the Southampton manager, speaking about how it is possible to win at Anfield. Now, it is possible, Ralf. You are spot on there. Now, you won't be doing it. You won't be doing it on Saturday, Ralf, but you are right. Occasionally, it does happen that somebody, and as he says in this particular piece, speaks about how Brighton came and 2-0 down at Anfield, and in 99 times out of 100, you go on and lose that game. But they didn't, and in fairness to Brighton, they probably could have left and maybe should have left Anfield with the 3 points that day. But I think Liverpool will have learned their lessons from that one. He was speaking about Liverpool's identity, and he was talking about the fact that we found it again after a difficulty last season. We know that it was because we had no centre-backs available. I'm intrigued by this one because I admire Ralf Hasenhüttl. I like the way he goes about playing football, and as I spoke about earlier on in the video, Ralf Rangnick coming into Manchester United, Ralf Hasenhüttl would be another disciple, should I say, of the style of football that Rangnick has influenced many German coaches with. Okay, I know Ralf Hasenhüttl is from Austria, I believe, but you get where I'm coming from. Let's just call him the Alpine KLOPP, isn't that his nickname? So look, I'm looking forward to the game. Interesting to hear Ralf Hasenhüttl's views on Liverpool and how they can perhaps go and get about us. And as I said, every article that I've spoken about today, my friends, you can find on the OneFootball app. And don't forget, the link to download it, entirely free of course, is in the description of the stream. Thank you to our friends at OneFootball. I will be back with another OneFootball news video in a week's time or so. Thank you guys for tuning in, but most importantly, I want to know your thoughts on the things that I've spoken about. Let us know in the comment section below. This video will be going out on Friday, which is our day off on the channel, so this will be a pre-recorded segment obviously going out. If you enjoy it, hit the like button, and of course don't forget to hit that subscribe button, turn notifications on, and check out our sister channel Mundo Sporto. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'll be back soon. Take care. Have a lovely weekend. Up the Reds.